What's going on, party people? My name is Solomon. I am an artist, and thus I go by Solomon the Artiste. So I've been doing I'm doing basically a series of, the idea of moving to LA or vice versa for the sake of art, ultimately. And I've been using, other YouTube videos, what they've had to say, and just sort of throwing my 2 cents onto that. However, there's something I want to add, though, on my own merit. Now, something I mentioned in the previous video about, that crazy Italian chick. And something that she said to me was that she was upset that I even contacted her and let her know that I was moving out here. She wished that I didn't, and that it's okay though, because it'll only be a matter of time before I leave, because I'll never make it out here, She knew that I was here for the sake of art and basically was just trying to hurt me in the worst way possible. And I remember when she said that, I was just like, well, damn, that's a blow, but okay. And then I made a mental note and said, you know what, it just kind of gave me this extra push to decide, like, let me actually make it so she could see my face and, on all her billboards out here and on her television screen and all that crap, Excuse me. And so I kind of had it in mind, having that in mind, I kind of had it in mind that I should probably go back to my original plan and go to Georgia, go to Atlanta, because it would be so much easier for me financially and artistically. The thing is, my house in Georgia is huge. I've got more than enough space to do all the things that I want and need to do. And I can do a lot. I can absolutely do a great deal of stuff. And so, yeah, that's whatever. So with that in mind, it makes sense for me to make the move, but there was this part of me that was thinking, like, no, if I move though, if I leave LA, then I'm proving her right, and I am pretty much a failure because I came out here knowing that I was just gonna make it, and I'm not if I pick up and move, and I had to realize that I'm not a failure for deciding to leave LA. I'm not leaving because I don't believe I can make it. I'm leaving because I believe there's a better way for me to make it, whatever that means for you, and I had to really wrestle with myself to convince myself that this is okay and this is necessary even. I needed to come to LA, I realized, because for one thing, I needed the opportunity to really say that I've lived on my own merit. I can't exactly say that I've lived on my own in the sense that I moved to LA and I got a place with my cousin, and so, technically, yes, I moved out here and didn't have the safety net of my family, but still, I still had some sort of comfort, some sort of whatever you want to call it. Going to Georgia, part of, to a certain degree, there's a safety net in the sense that my house is paid for. I don't have to worry about paying rent or mortgage or anything like that. But I also don't live exactly in ATL. I live about 40 minutes out of ATL, and so I would definitely need to get a car. But that's my whole thing. I would much rather, whatever money I'm paying here in rent, I would much rather put that money towards a car that belongs to me, as opposed to paying rent to a landlord here, and it's rent. It's never gonna end unless you die, if it's not at least a mortgage where you're paying until you finally own completely, And so I thought, well, let me do that. Let me just go out here and do this. There's no point, if I'm gonna swallow my pride and go back to having a full-time job, I would rather do that either in New York or do that in Georgia. Because the thing is, all through my teens, and because I got my working papers at 14, But all through my teens and all through my 20s, I had a full-time job, and sometimes 2 and 3 jobs. I worked retail. The last full-time job I had was at Sephora, and I loved that job, but I hated the management because the management was so snarky and rude and belligerent. And you know, there's one of my favorite sayings is that nobody quits a good job, but everyone will quit a bad manager, and that was the case with Sephora for me. I would absolutely go back and work for Sephora. I have to say, like, I loved working for Sephora. It's a great job to have under the proper circumstances, you know. Either way, I am just in a place where I said, well, you know, I don't want to go back to having a full-time job. I've always worked a full-time job, and the issue with having a full-time job or having 2 or 3 like I did is that, yes, you constantly had money. Like, I had money. Like, I was chilling. I was set. And I was able to invest in the things that I felt were necessary for me, important to me, you know, invest in things like Pro Tools or whatever I needed in order to create music. I was able to invest in, you know, headshots and acting classes and things like that for the sake of my acting, and doing that helped me out a great deal. I was able to perform more. I was able to book acting jobs. I was able to get an agent because I had the money to instill in those things. The issue, though, was that on the other end, I had the headshots, but I had no time to go on auditions like I really wanted and needed to, you know. I had the music, but again, I could not get off to go and do a show at this place, and even if I did, I worked so much that I was exhausted. And any singer will tell you, you know, you can sing. If you have to get through it, you will get through it, but you can't give your best performance if you're physically exhausted. You know, a lot of people think singing is just this right here, but singing is the entire body, you know. And that's why, you know, if you look at someone like Whitney Houston, who didn't really dance, you know, when she sings, her whole entire body, like, she is sweating from head to toe. If you look at her performances, and it's because it takes everything, and she was the type that gave everything, you know. She was a vocalist, a powerhouse, you know. But yeah, so that's what I'm finding to be the issue with LA for me. I was fortunate enough to find certain jobs that offered me where I would make enough money to pay my rent, but that's the issue. The type of jobs was like promo work, and so I had to like go super far most of the time to get to these jobs to make this money. And then the thing was too, like, they were often so far that I had to go and rent a car at the airport so that I can get to the job. And you know, some people would say, why not just do the get around thing? But my issue was that, again, I don't want to do the get around thing and leave it on when I'm just driving for an hour or 2 to get to my destination, and then I gotta work 8 hours, and then the car is just sitting there being charged for having it while I'm not driving it, just to drive back home, park it wherever I got it from, and then, boom, you know. It worked out cheaper in my mind to just rent a car for the day or 2. And what I would do is I'd rent the car, go drive, do my shift, come back home, and I would just like do a quick grocery run, you know. I drink a lot of distilled water, and so having the car made it easy for me to run to a Walmart, to a Target or whatever, buy like 10 bottles of distilled water, and I didn't have to worry about it. Because right now what I do is like I buy 2 distilled waters at a time, except for the recently my cousin and I, we had to do a get around car for me to take her to the airport for an audition in another state. And you know, I figured, well, since I have the car, I would just go to Target, which I did, and I just bought a bunch of waters, and so now I'm set for, you know, at least, you know, a week or 2. But yeah, so my thing is, I said to myself before I moved out here, if I find myself in a situation where I need to work a full-time job in order to pay my rent and stuff, then it's not worth it, because I might as well be in New York doing that, where I have more comfort and more opportunity to audition for musical theater, because not much of that exists here in LA, you know. And then also, at least in Georgia, my house is paid for. If I'm gonna like work to pay for anything, it would be for paying my car. And I have enough survival jobs where even if I have enough survival jobs, particularly in New York, where even if I decide that I don't want to get a job in Georgia and I just want to go to New York for a month or two at a time to just work and build up my bank account, I can do that and then just go back to Georgia and then, you know, do what I got to do. You know, I could be in Georgia and do Lyft if I so choose, because I would be able to do so. But really though, if I have to do a full-time job, I would rather it be something that is mine. I've got plenty of ideas and plenty of opportunity and know enough people to get certain things done, you know? But yeah, I just wanted to say that. Like, I feel like I say all of that because I don't think I mentioned the whole point of this particular video. Don't pick up and move and feel that if you have to leave LA or leave New York or wherever that you're a failure, because you're not a failure. You know, the fact that you picked up and moved for the sake of your goals and aspirations and dreams, that makes you a winner. That makes you bold, that makes you strong, that makes you smart. If you gotta take a break, because if you need a mental health, you know, moment, take it. Go back to where you know where your original home is if you need to, or reassess. You know, me, I don't want to like get a full-time job out here in LA. For me, it's purposeless, especially where I'm at in my life. But if you need to take a year or two off, or at least not pound the pavement as hard in your acting or singing or whatever, and have a full-time job, if you need to do that to keep yourself afloat, then I say do that. And when you get yourself to a certain place of comfort, get back into the audition game. You know, in the meantime, you know, acting classes, voice coaches, you know, things like that, those things you can make work according to your schedule until further notice. You know, that's what I want to say. Don't give up on the plan if it kind of goes off the rail a little bit. You can get back on track. It may take some time or it may not, you know, but don't lose sight of the goal. That's what I'm trying to say. That's all I wanted to say, because I'm not. Most people would look at me and look at the derailed moments I've had and think, why are you still going at this? But the thing is, this is what I love. This is what I'm passionate about. If I had another passion, I would go towards it, but I don't. My singing voice is a God-given gift. I never had vocal training per se. You know, it's something that I just happen to be good at, and I make a living doing that. You know, people actually hire me to sing, you know, whether sing backup for them, sing at their shows, do musical theater. I've been hired to do these things. I've done regional theater. So I know that this is a God-given gift that I'm supposed to use. And I just have to figure out the best way to make it profitable for myself. Yeah, so I'm gonna end that there. Thank you again. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, please like, please comment, and yeah, peace out.